Hari Om, Bhagavad Gita, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, chapter 18, verse 3. In the last verse, Bhagwan Krishna said, Sages say sannyasa means renunciation of desire prompted works. Wise men say Tyaga means abandonment of fruits of all actions. All is important. Abandonment of fruits of all actions. Now, verse 3. Tyajyam doshavadityeke karma pragurmanishinaha yajnadana karma natyajamidi chapare. Swami Dayananda Saraswati quotes Adi Shankara here. Adi Shankara says, Manishinaga means learned people, scholars in Veda. They have the knowledge of Atma. Then in this verse, Bhagavan says there are two views among the scholars. The first view is that some scholars, they say, for the sake of moksha, all karmas have to be given up. If you want moksha, all the karmas must be given up. Why? Every karma has a result. Every action has got a final result. It could be either punya, it could be paba, or both punya and paba. Partly punya, partly paba. Hence, all karmas have to be given up because once there is a fruit, then it binds you to the cycle of birth and death. If it is punya, you have to enjoy that punya to that, for that purpose you will get a birth. If there is a paba, you have to suffer. That is why you will get birth. Another birth is unavoidable if you do karma. So then that means it will keep you in the wheel of samsara. Hence, to get out of this samsara wheel, all karmas have to be given up. This is one view by some scholars. The second view is that some karmas should not be given up. What are those? Yajna, dana, tapa, karma. So, yajnas, rituals. This is another view by some scholars. Yajnas, rituals. Tapas, religious disciplines. And dana, charity. They should not be given up at any cost. All karma should be given up except yajna, tapas and dana. That is another view. They are necessary because yajna, tapas and dana are necessary for gaining antakarna suddhi. That will help you in gaining knowledge of Atma. So that is the second view. Swami Dayananda Saraswati says, the second view is the view of Bhagwan Krishna. If you are not ready for full knowledge, karma should not be given up. If out of moga or delusion, you give up all the karmas, then what happens is you are neither here nor there. You are neither a sannyasi nor a karma yogi. You are spoiling your life. That is what is the view of Bhagwan Krishna. That is what Swami Dayananda Saraswati says here. Swami Dayananda Saraswati makes an important point to be noted by all of us here. The point is, Bhagavan is not discussing about Sarva Karma Sannyasa in these verses. Because Sarva Karma Sannyasa is complete knowledge. That means you have understood, you have attained that knowledge that Atma is Akarta and Atma is Abhokta. That is, it is not a doer and it is not an enjoyer. So, Sarva Karma Sannyasa is not under discussion. That is the main point which all of us should keep in mind. Then what is discussed here is Vividisha Sannyasa and Karma Yoga. What is Vividisha Sannyasa? We have already discussed about it. It is a lifestyle. You go to a teacher, teacher will see whether you have the burning desire to get that knowledge. Then after seeing that you have that desire, he initiates you into that. Then you give up the obligatory karmas. So that is one lifestyle of sannyasa. That is Vividisha Sannyasa. What is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is giving up the fruits of all the actions. So, hence the discussion in these verses, the following verses is for moksha, for the purpose of attaining moksha, knowledge. Either one can give up obligatory karmas and pursue the knowledge. That is Vividisha Sannyasa. You give up all your nitya, naimittika karmas and then for the purpose of antakarna suddhi, then pursue knowledge. Another thing is karma yoga. You can perform the karmas with proper attitude and surrender the fruits of all actions. Both Vividisha Sannyasa and Karma Yoga have to reach the ultimate point, Sarva Karma Sannyasa. So this is very, very important, which all of us have to keep in mind. So what is discussed in these verses are Vividisha Sannyasa and Karma Yoga. Swami Chinmayananda says, in the last verse, Bhagwan Krishna made clear that abandonment or sannyasa, abandonment or tyaga, that is the way through which one reaches renunciation. That is sannyasa. So abandonment is first step, through which you go to the second step, renunciation. In abandonment, there are two theories. One is Sankhyan philosophy. They say action should be abandoned as evil. As evil. Karmas, all karmas should be abandoned as evil. According to Sankhyan philosophy, all actions produce vasanas, which cloud the realization of the self. They perpetuate the ego. Therefore, without any exception, all actions should be renounced, abandoned. Swami Chinmayananda also quotes some commentators of Sankhyan philosophy who say that work is not to be abandoned except when it is going in wrong channels, motivated by demonic urges like passion, greed, and desire. So, whenever you are impelled to work out of your passion, impelled to work out of your greed, impelled to work out of your desire, those actions must be abandoned. That is also some commentators have said because they will create agitation of mind, vasanas. So that should be avoided. That is some of the commentators have said about this. This school of philosophy indicate that all seekers should avoid unhealthy activities. Unhealthy activities, they have influence on the spiritual beauty of a man. Everyone must engage himself in character building and moral rebuilding work that can aid the individual's personality. This is what Swami Chinmayananda says as far as one school of thought. That school is actions should be abandoned as evil. That is one school of thought. The second school of thought is that not all action should be abandoned. Yagyas, that is sacrifice, dana, that is charity, and tapas, austerity, they should not be abandoned. That is the second school of thought. As already said, this is my this thing. As already said, this chapter, in this chapter, Bhagavan is summing up the entire Gita Shastra. Bhagavan already said about this in chapter 2, verse 51. Karmajam buddhi yuktagi palam tyaktva manishinagham janma bandha vinirmuktaham padam gacchantya namayam. Already Bhagavan said about this. That is what Bhagavan said is in chapter 2, verse 51. We have already discussed in detail. Bhagavan already said, wise people with equanimity of mind abandon attachment to fruits of actions. They get freed from the cycle of birth and death and reach a state which is beyond evil. So Bhagavan already talked about this, indicated about this in chapter 2, verse 51. So in this verse, in verse 3, Bhagavan says, as far as Tyaga is concerned, there are two types. One is all the work should be renounced. That is one school of thought because they create vasanas. The other one is not all actions should be renounced. The actions like yajna, dana, tapa, that should be performed. That is another school of thought. That much alone Bhagavan is saying in verse 3. Again, verse 3. Tyajyam doshavadityeke karma pragurmanishinagham yajnadana taba karma natyajamidi chapare. Next verse we'll see tomorrow. Harihom sarvam krishnarpanamastu. Narayana 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 Narayana